But it's also Peter Bone season, isn't it?
I'm flabbergasted that this horse is the rank outsider at 40 to 1.
I cannot believe he's not mentioned Francky du Berlais.
I'm going to make up for it, so I'm going to give you a winner at Cartmel.
Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM with myself, Kate, Tracey, Dave Young, and clearly we didn't get enough likes last week on the video. We got the subscribers up, so very well done to those of you who did subscribe to GG's YouTube channel, but the likes weren't quite there yet, so Andrew's refused to come back. Luckily though for us, Matty is here and is stepping into the hot seat again. So Matty, thank you so much as ever. And a pair of you two had a good week last week. We had a billion races to go out, lots of hard luck stories along the way as well, but Kings Lynn, of course he placed, of course he did. For Dave, he'll be following him again next time, no doubt, I'm sure. Arisaig placed then for Matty. Kudwa, so impressive, winning then for Dave. Starless, Dave and Matty both liked him winning. Ancient Truth, he won then. Dave tipped him up and he was my nap as well. Summergan, 33 to 1, finished third. What a wonderful old boy he is. Dave fancied him for that. And of course, Van Dijk, doing the best of the 3-year-olds, finishing third. Dave gave him a really good mention as well. So we haven't got quite as many races this time around, but we do have a blend of jump and flat action, Newbury and Market Rasen. So Dave is rejoicing and fist pumping the air then, but we're going to begin on the flat though at Newbury with the 150. This is the Bet Victor Stakes for Steventon Stakes listed contest, 3-year-olds and over 10 furlongs. Alyanaabi, 15 to 8 market leader. Alyaanabi is next in then on his reappearance start. Then it's a big jump to the remaining 3 runners at the prices, Matty. So how did you weigh this one up?
Yeah, it's a bit of a disappointing turnout, isn't it, for a listed contest on this night show? It's £34,000 to the winner. So a bit disappointing that just the 5 have turned up. And I do think for all Alyanaabi at the weights and at the racing, he's entitled to win. I think he could be a bit of a suspect stayer. I mean, he's stepping up 2 furlongs. He's not on the immediate downside guaranteed to get the trip, and he's been keen over a mile. So I'd just be very concerned about him actually staying the trip, for all that with the 5 in the contest, it could be at a slowly run clip anyways, and he could just have too much speed for them. The obvious kind of starting point as well is Alyanaabi, who won the race last season, but he does seem better with a little bit of a run behind him as well, and over a further distance. And so again, and Phantom Fly with first time HUD could possibly reverse that form from last season. Savvy Victor enjoyed a small field, but again, I'm not too sure he's got the quality to kind of beat these. I thought the interesting one was the outsider, Sons and Lovers. Shaped very well in the Group 3 Hampton Court on last time out over this trip as well, which was running quite a good pace. So no surprise he kind of weakened over in the last 2 furlongs. Don't think it was quite an honest day. I think that was the case. And he's entitled to be like bang there with the form of Kikuli and Almakam from the 2 starts back. So I just think whether it's a run at a small clip, he kind of settles early on, it could spring a surprise at the back into the market.
And as you say, it's the outsider of the field, then 20 to 1 in this one, but taking on those at the head of the market. And Dave, I think I agree with Matty, though, that these 2 at the head of the market, they look potentially vulnerable then, because Alyanaabi, clearly the market is expecting him to improve for this step up in trip. But when a horse has been finishing weekly, it's not necessarily the fact that they want to step up in trip. So I feel like you're taking a bit of a chance with him. And Alyaanabi, I mean, you're always taking a bit of a chance with him. He's a bit of a rogue, but talented when he can be bothered.
Yeah, that is true. And just for this, the price that you quoted, the 15 to 8, the websites haven't updated correctly, because I looked at that and I was tempted. Well, he would have been a bet at that sort of price. Easy to say now, but he's top price 8 to 11. So I don't think people thought he was going to be declared. In the week for the short to post, he was as big as 9 to 4. So when he was around about that price, obviously with the question marks around stamina, like if we knew he stayed, he would probably deserve to be the 4 to 6. But even that's like, you can see why he's a 4 to 6 shot, but you wouldn't want to bet him. When the question mark is around it, you think, well, he's got to be odds against. And the 15 to 8 that he was in the week, you'd think that's probably like a backable price, but it's not enough to make you want to really steam him. So he's massive. He's just so short in it. And then sometimes when that happens, you'll look at it and think, well, there's got to be some value in there. It is a bit of a muchness behind him. The fact that Jim Crowley's on rather than riding Alyaanabi that won the race last year, I think says enough of it, doesn't it? And then I know that there is the question mark around his stamina. As I say, he's definitely priced up as though he definitely stays, but we all know that we don't know that for a fact yet. But he has got nice breeding like down the line. So the Grand Dam as well has got She's had a couple of like 10 furlong and 12 furlong group winners. And then the dam sire, Kitten's Joy, is obviously like the sire of Roaring Lion, just for an example, a multiple Group 1 10 furlong winner. So there's enough in the breeding to suggest that it won't necessarily be a problem. But like you say, Kate, when you watch his race and he's finishing a little bit weakly, I don't know, it doesn't scream out. But the thing you do have to remember in here is this is a listed race. He's got genuinely decent form that would suggest he is definitely a group horse, but probably a Group 1 horse. Even if you go back to the run behind Rosalian last season, I think it's in the Pat Edery Stakes, wasn't it? Everything in that race has just been flying out after. So that's probably one of the best pieces of 2-year-old form on offer. And that day he was the same distance behind Rosalian as he was when they met each other at Ascot. So that would suggest to you that they've potentially both progressed as much as 2-year-olds to 3-year-olds. So in that basis, I say he can't be far off being a sort of a Group 1 horse. There's an abundance of that. Honestly, go back and look at the Pat Edery Stakes, see all the horses in there. There's like Al Musmak that came out and won last Thursday, didn't it? Ancient Wisdom won last Thursday. And some of those have been stepping up in drip, even like Dancing Gemini that was 10 lengths behind. Sunway obviously stepped up and was the next second in the Irish Derby. So there's lots of bits in form there that suggest that he's much better than a listed horse. But look, he's a 4-6 favourite. Probably already spent too much time talking about him. So he wins, but there's no way I'm betting him at that sort of price.
Yeah, no, he is very short now, isn't he? Like I say, with those prices being updated now, 4-6, but should win, so say, take advantage of the drop to listed company. Right, 205 Market Rasen handicap hurdle, 0-135 contest, 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4.5 furlongs, 7-2 the field in this one. So again, we've actually got a proper betting heat for you to go out, Dave, for this one. So back to the jumps. I'll just let you take it away.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy the jumps are back as well. That's why I pulled out the shirt, but it is the summer, so we don't do the tie in the summer. This is like a really good race. I did all 3 of them. I don't know why, but I always like to do them in reverse order. The ones we'll come on to a little bit later, they've got a bit more of like a divided opinion, I'd suggest, but still quite strong fancies in there. This one I think feels pretty easy. Look, the market leader Pyffo, class 2 it won last time out. It was stepped up a little bit in trip as well. This is going back into a class 3 now, so it's probably about the same sort of standard, but it is technically an easing class. He's back over course and distance as well, where he hacked up at the beginning of the season or back in March. I just think that the horse looks like he's been fully plotted to get handicap marks. So he went about his business last year, didn't he? Finally got an opening mark, which they used at the start of the season in January, and he was reported after the race to be abnormal. That was off a mark of a 1-1-6. He was 3-1 favourite, got beat, but then obviously went in the maiden hurdle after that I talked about, over course and distance, and absolutely hacked up. Then he's come second after, he's come second again, then he's won his last 2 races. But that last race had Kevin Brogan on board, and they stepped him back up in trip as well. Now, I wonder whether they thought to themselves that this is a potential target that we can go for later on. You'd expect that John Joe O'Neill Jr. would have been on if they, I don't know, if they were plotting it or they really fancied it. So I think he surprised him a little bit in the fact that he won there. But if you think that he's done what he's done, and he probably wasn't really trying that much last time out, I think he's completely and utterly well in here. He's up £5 from winning that last time race. I don't think that's going to be enough to stop him. I just think he looks real good. Like I say, those form figures since he's gone into handicap company, admittedly there was a maiden hurdle in there. He's been 1-2-2, 1-1 in his last 5 starts. There's loads more to come from this horse. So I think he's gonna hack up. 7-2 looks a pretty good price to me.
Yeah, it looks a good price as well to bring up that hat trick. And each way plus race with BetMGM as well. 4 places on offer. They've not needing those confidence selection for the win, Matty. 4 places on offer. Would that interest you, or are you also happy to play it on the nose?
Yeah, I'm not as confident as Dave would be, but I am confident playing it on the nose. Summer jumping time, and it's hard to kind of, once you're in the full swing of the flat mode for a flat man like me, it's kind of hard to navigate your mind and your form back into it. But it's also Peter Bone season, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, if you're to back to all their runners in the months of May, June, and July from the start when the date was about, you have a healthy profit of £175.18 to a £1 level stake. Now that is largely down to the record at Market Rasen as well, at 21% striker at all time, £107 profit to a £1 level stake. So basically anything that is kind of running this weekend is just to be feared. And so I do think Flying Fortune is worth a good mention. Daughter of Soldier of Fortune, who was quite progressive in bumpers. And second time up, 7 lengths behind Dysart Ineos and Queen's Gamble in the listed mares bumper. So you think the form that's come from that is exceptional. She won 2 races since then as well in bumpers. And I know that she's kind of winless in 5 starts over hurdles, but I mean, there's no point taking any form of the Bowens in like October, September, November time, because they just don't kind of they don't come to form then, do they? So you can kind of upgrade anything from that time. And she was 3 lengths behind Farnodge of Paul Nichols's. Now he was only just beaten last time out by I think Sounds Russian in the listing contest at Perth. So the form is there. And last time out back on the quicker surface as well, fared much better in a novice company. Split rivals rated £11 and £6 higher than herself, with the winner racking up a 4-timer. So now she's dropping back into handicap company at the same mark of 109. This race has probably been on the connections mind for a long time, particularly given the strength of her course bump form, and she's bred to revel in these faster conditions as well.
And bred for these conditions too. 8-1 shots as well in here, so nice way to play them to potentially take advantage of the each way plus race that BetMGM are offering. But yeah, the Bowens, so of course we expect them to be at this time of year. Peter and Mickey Bowen now on the license. Right, we switch our attentions back to the flat now, back to Newbury for the 225, a handicap, 3 odds and over 2 miles and half a furlong. This race has been won by some really top-notch stayers on the flat in recent years. Sweet William last year, Rashun a couple of years he's won this. Scaramanga with Hold, Stratum all in there as well. So, Matty, one of these bidding to add their name to that roll of honour, but which one will it be?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a star stayer from any of these, I'm honest with you. I know you've got Baid and Huckman's brother in there, Naqeeb, but you think both them two, they won't get 2 miles at all. So I don't think Naqeeb will kind of get the trip, particularly given how keen he was last time out as well. And it's not a race I'm massively wanting to play. However, I do like Ranchhand for the Baldings. Not seen much racing since 2021, and just 3 races that. But to be fair, his form's not been bad. I mean, I know he was beaten 7 lengths at Goodwood last time out, but that did come off a 556-day layoff, beating 7 lengths. But that was over 1 mile 6 as well. And obviously, he's a 2 mile horse all day. His record at the trip, 3 wins, a second, a third, and a fourth. And he was 4th in the Aston Park Stakes behind Alyanaabi, Thunderous and Logician. So he has got some good course on as well. Good effort off top weight, second time up after his last layoff when beaten at length by Rainbow Dreamer. So I think if any of these can kind of, I just don't see much potential in any of these at all. But if Ranchhand is kind of fit and well within himself, then off a mark of 94 with Callum's Claim, I think it can be well handicapped to go well here.
25-1 shot as well, with the £3, like you say, being taken off of his back. Ranchhand, who has been very lightly raced, but good to see that they're still going with him anyway, and perhaps he could spring a bit of a surprise there. Who did you like?
Well, I'm sad that Matty's had a little go at Naqeeb, because I was massively impressed with what he did last time, considering I know Jim Crowley did it by design and hung him out the back, try and settle him first time cheap pieces. And then you run the risk at Ascot, don't you, that if you decide to stay on the rail and not go wide and try and find a gap, you may not get those gaps. But he was literally just blocked off for most of the run-in. He was still only beaten 6 lengths in that race. But it was interesting because Naqeeb was out on the outside. So obviously racing wide at Ascot's another thing that's not necessarily the best thing to do. But if you watch that horse and Naqeeb as they turn in, there's no way if Naqeeb didn't get a clear run, he wouldn't have beaten Naqeeb for definite. He was only 4 lengths behind that horse. We're obviously seeing that horse come out and go and win a Group 3 after. So like Naqeeb is definitely the group horse in a handicap here, like without any shadow of a doubt. He's obviously got like a little bit of a quirk about him, hasn't he? But I just remember him last season when before he almost picked up Middle-earth, then after he was a beaten favourite where he started to show a bit of those quirks. But I was pretty impressed with how he ran last time. Look, he was a little bit keen early on, but he's got cheek pieces on for the first time, and he was going to see out the rest of his race. So obviously, if a horse is too keen, sometimes they won't finish the race too well. And again, with him being blocked with those wall of horses, it's hard to know what would have happened if he got a gap, because you can see the jockey sat there, looks like he's got a bundle of horse, but you can't quite see completely the horse on the rerun of it, and you need to see how the horse is going. But go back and watch it and tell me that you don't believe that that horse wouldn't have been seriously close in that race. They've obviously opted to step him up in trip now, but I think just options may be light in terms of handicaps. But he's got more time to get to the front, and I know from the breeding side it may be like we don't know if he's going to stay, but you don't have too many flat horses that would even try 2 miles anyway. Look at Tiger Roll as a flat break, goes and wins a Grand National. Sharjah won over 3 miles in a handicap. I think Naqeeb's class is just going to come out of this, and I was so impressed with what he did last time. I've got no doubt that he'll be there or thereabouts. It's 10 runners in here as well. There's 3 places up for grabs. Who knows? They might throw in an extended places to 4 places. He's 11-2 at the time of recording. If that is not an absolute thievery each way bet, then I don't know what is. Naqeeb is a strong each way selection, but I reckon he'll win.
a strong each way selection, but also then with that win element quite strong as well. I know it's mad, isn't it? Half brother to Baid, and now he's running over an extended 2 miles in this one, but he is by Nathaniel, so perhaps that's where that extra bit of stamina is going to come into. I did like the current favourite of 7-2 with Kyle Lukosh in this one, who I just thought he was a massive eye catcher last time out when you looked at that race at Royal Ascot in the Ascot Stakes, and it was a weird one because they were strung out from an early stage, yet nothing was really making up any ground. The winner, Pledge of Allegiance, Luke Morris, has had him in the optimal position throughout to be able to pounce, and those who came from further back, including the third, it is Kyle Lukosh, isn't it? Why does that name sound so weird? It's so jarring. But yeah, but the fact he could get within 3 lengths then in the end, doing all of his best work in the finish over the 2 mile 4 in that. So no doubts about the trip then for him whatsoever. A horse firmly on the uppers, confirmed by that penultimate start, that success in soft ground at Salisbury over a mile 6. And the first 3 of that Ascot race just all look to be on the improve. And it's sort of the 4th and the 5th that were there to set the level of form, really. So yeah, he's a horse I wanted to keep on side up £2. I don't think that'll inconvenience him. So for all that, as you said, Matty, at the top, I don't think we've got any of the sort of superstars that we've seen winning this horse in recent years. I still thought that his class would prevail. Right, we're heading back to Market Rasen now for the 240. This is for the summer handicap hurdle, the summer hurdle. 3-year odds and over the extended 2 miles in this one. 6-1 the field we have to go at, but Manuelito has found himself at the head of the market now, returning from the flat then for this one, Dave. So do you like that angle, or are we looking elsewhere?
No, it's jump season, Kate. Screw the flat horses. But this is this is a real decent race. I'm really excited about it. I feel like there's horses in here that I think are capable of winning the race, but whether today is the day or whether they're going to improve for the run is probably a big question mark around a few of them, and no more so than Black Poppy, who unfortunately bled last time out and was seen in the Christmas hurdle behind Constitution Hill. So it's always good banging in a bit of Constitution Hill this time of year, isn't it? But he still did beat So Royal home, even though he bled, but So Royal was about to turn 12, wasn't he? And then First Street was just a bit in front of him, but he is ever declining, but still, he's a 140s horse. So I'd be interested to know how Black Poppy's been since bleeding. Obviously been kept off for a little while and typically does need a run as well. So I can see why he's towards the head of the market. If we knew a little bit more about him, then I don't know, you'd probably look at him as a strong bet, but I wonder if this is just going to be a sort of run him and find out outright race rather than it being a target. Do you think he's won a sprint and hurdle off of a little bit of a lower mark? So he's a class horse, and to think of a Saturday, all respects to Market Rasen, he's better than this type of class race. But there's just too much about him to make me think, I don't know if I want to ride him. It's frustrating as well because I think Sam Twiston-Davies has been jocked up, and I love Sam Twiston-Davies as a jockey, especially when he's jocked up. But I think that he's a better jockey over a fence than he's ever hurdled. So apologies, Sam, if you're watching, but must do better. There's a few though that are well worth mentioning. Take It Easy with Pam Sly was 4 lengths behind Black Poppy in that Swinton, is £11 better off. He is 2 years his senior, but potentially is coming in here with, I don't know, some more recent races behind him and less question marks to answer. So looks quite big at 20-1. Kiava is fit from the flat, which obviously you'd like, Kate, or maybe you like. He's course winner as well, but his mark feels about right. So I'd be disappointed if he went and won this and someone hasn't been plotted for this, or there isn't an improver in here. The one that I do like, and I'm flabbergasted that this horse is the rank outsider at 40-1, is Rewired for Dr. Richard Newland, and he's got Luke Scott up top again. Now, this horse is only a 6-year-old. So talk about Black Poppy, that's 7. We talk about Take It Easy that's behind him in the Swinton, that's a 9-year-old. This horse has had plenty of races, 16 hurdle runs, but I think he's a little bit unexposed, to be honest with you. Luke Scott's ridden him loads of times. He's got a really good record on this horse. So he's got 1-2-2, 1-4, 1-1, and then pulled up and 6. So the last couple of runs are a little bit lackluster. But that 6th run was in the boys' race at Aintree Grand National Meeting, wasn't it? The conditional and amateur jockeys race, where he's finished 6 of 17. He was a 50-1 poke. It was on soft ground, which wouldn't have been ideal for him at all. And that's a proper race. The handicap has dropped him £1 for that as well, which seems bizarre. But I talked about the jockey's record on him. The jockey on him on good ground, his form figures read 1-1-1. It's going to be good ground at Market Rasen unless they pour a load of water on and they keep pouring it because it's going to dry up quick there anyway. I think this horse has got mileage in his mark as well. He ran off a 1-2-7 in that race at Aintree. The time before when he ran at Kelso, they just didn't go quick enough for him. He was quite keen, and he's been keen before when he's won, but they just didn't go quick. I've talked about Black Poppy going against horses like a Constitution Hill. I've talked about horses that are running in like a Grade 3 Swinton Hurdle. There's no way there's not going to be enough pace in this race for the horse to be settled. His good ground form is there for all to see. I think he just looks like he's fully there to win the race, and I can't believe that he's 41. I think he's completely missed in the market. I don't care if he drifts. If he drifts, I'll probably have a little bit more on him. But obviously, at that price, you don't need to have too much. 5 places are up for grabs. I would be staggered if this horse doesn't get supported. But if he doesn't, I don't care, because it's not necessarily a gambling yard. I think Rewired's got a massive chance. Again, we've got the fact that it's a comeback run rather than it being like a prep before this, and then you see him coming in for it. But I'd imagine they would have thought off his mark, especially being dropped a pound, he's got the chance of winning a reasonable prize. And to be fair, summer jumps racing at Market Rasen, we love it, don't we? So Rewired at 40 to 1 will be the selection.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, well, one of those top prices then, at least with BetMGM, we've got about 33 to 1 at present, but with the 5 places on offer with BetMGM as well to go at. So the outsider of the field for Dave. But as I say, Matty, another each way plus race. They did give a good mention to Black Poppy, who's about 6 to 1 with BetMGM. But yeah, 33 to 1 BetMGM, the outsider of the field for Dave. Who did you like then?
Yeah, well, Dave mentioned that there could be a plot horse in this race, and I cannot believe he's failed to mention Castel Gandolfo. Twice a second in this race, off £6, £3 higher marks. And that last run came on soft ground as well. And look, we know he needs it rattling fast, like good to firm kind of ground. And it's drying out all the time at Market Rasen. There's no rain forecast. I think it could be on the firmer side of good. And yeah, I just think he's an absolute each way bet of the century kind of thing. I mean, I know he was beaten 8 lengths last time out here, but those came in cheap pieces, and all his best forms come in blinkers, including this race as well. So the fact that blinkers returned now is probably a bit of a signal of intent. Then again, beaten 24 lengths in the Swinton, but I mean, considering the winner won by 15 lengths, he was only 8 lengths behind the second. And you've got the likes of Lark in the Morning, Rare Middleton, Teddy Blue in there, Gin Coco, proper good national horses. And I just think, like, off a marker of 117, there's no chance that he finishes out the placings here at all. So Castel Gandolfo each way.
Each way, 16 to 1 for him. I'd like to say that each way is probably the way to go, because I just question every so often his aptitude to actually go past other horses when he's right there in the finish. So, but like you say, for that price, though, you wouldn't be chucking away the win part of a bet. You wouldn't have thought if it tees itself up perfectly for him on the rattling ground. Right, back to Newbury now for the Group 3 Hackwood Stakes, 3-year-olds and over 6 furlongs. Regional, the 6-year-old taking on a whole load of 3-year-olds in here who are behind him, including Elite Status back over this course and distance again. So, yeah, regional, Matty, does he fend off the younger legs in this?
Possibly from the front, but I mean, I think he's got a few other pace angles to contend with. I cannot believe it's taken this long to step Twilight called back up to 6 furlongs. I mean, how often has it been outpaced over 5 this season and last season? A record of 6, a 5th on debut, 3 seconds and a first as well. So we know that he has got the kind of stamina to contend with 6. And he's just looked so lethargic this season, but he has been doing his best work at the finish. Clocked the quickest 2 final furlongs last time out. Also did the same in the Palace House Stakes when beating the 3 1/4 lengths. Produced his best RPR on seasonal debut as well, giving plenty of weight away to some of the 3-year-olds. And I just think, like, if he gets a good toe into the race, he breaks well. And now that Henry Candy's finally had a winner as well, he had somewhat come into form. I just think he can't be far away from the finish whatsoever.
Okay, can't be too far away then. 12 to 1. Oh, he's such a frustrating horse. But yeah, this is what he has been. Well, we're going to get to see the true side of him, you would have thought then, because like I say, the way that he's been crying out for the step up to the 6 furlongs, we'll get to hopefully see the real him now, and he can answer those potential questions in the Hackwood. Dave, 12 to 1 shot for Matty to go out taking on those at the head of the market. You likewise?
No, not a big price. It's a brave shout. I could see it coming off, but I get put off when it's like you see Ryan Moore can't get the best out of a horse, and then you get someone like Trevor Whelan going out. Again, all respect, they're better as a jockey than I would be. I just think reeks of they're doing something to maybe get him in a handicap, or I don't know, trying something for the sake of trying it. But the trip definitely looks the right one for that horse, but it's definitely the right trip for regional as well, isn't it? They've run this horse obviously over the 5 and the 6. The good horses can potentially do it at both, but I know he's got to give weight away to the younger legs, but he's like won a Group 1 last year, or back end of last year, didn't he, at Haydock? The last 2 runs have been the Group 2 when he was behind Mitbahi, who we love, Kate, and he's a very good horse. We've seen him run second to Ascot in a Group 1. And this is a Group 3 race. So while the likes of Elite Status and Lake Forest, they've got probably comparable form, I'd say. And like Elite Status is, of course, and distance winning that Carnarvon, like looks quite good now. Like A Day in Devon's boosted the form to some extent, but I don't know. I don't think that performance screams out to me that the horse is like ready for this just yet. So it might be the case, I think, with both Elite Status and potentially Lake Forest, that in the next season or the next couple of years they would surpass Regional, because Regional is obviously a 6-year-old now, but this horse was going to go in the July Cup last week, wasn't it? A Group 1. We know how good a race that looked. There was real depth in there. It's only the ground that they stopped running. They weren't running scared of the race at all. It is good to soft at Newbury. I think it's going to dry out plenty for the horse, but like it's just that if it's dried out enough and they don't mess about with the ground, then I think Regional's just going to put them in their place. And I think 3-1's a reasonable price. I think it could look silly if he does bolt up, but it's obviously priced in there with the fact that Elite Status and Lake Forest, even like Matty said with Twilight Calls, like there are horses in here that you wouldn't be completely shocked if Regional got beat by. But for me at the moment, I think the way that Regional's been running looks to be in as good a form as we've ever seen. And I think that at this point, 3-1 about him looks pretty big, and I'd expect him to win.
Yeah, and like I say, the fact that these younger horses still need to prove themselves up to his measure, and if they do, they do. But for now, at least you haven't got that confirmation as such, which I totally get that angle then. And I think I've done the full like reversal around. We're trying to take him on, thinking Elite Status back over this course and distance. But even with all of that, I just think Regional's form just stacks up against the 3-year-olds. We are slightly suspect then in recent weeks exactly what any part of these pieces of form are worth, then an Elite Status would now tie into that somewhat as well. So yeah, I agree that I think that they now need to prove themselves up to Regional, and if they do, they do. Right, now back to Market Rasen for the 3:15, the Summer Plate handicap chase, the Premier handicap, 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 5. Mole Court it is for the Bens of Jones and Pooling, who heads the way at 13-2 in this one. So again, we've got a wide open race, 5 places on offer each way plus race here, Dave. So at Market Rasen, they're giving us the extra places everywhere we look at Market Rasen.
I know it's nice, and I moan about it on the flat with the bookie, don't I? So you have to give them praise when it's deserved. There were races at like Royal Ascot where there was 22 runners, and they weren't even offering 5 places. You get 16 runners in, and they're giving us 5 or even 6 in places. So well done, bookmakers. But I'm going to have your pants down, because they've made a bit of a rip with Boombawn. I think he's not a typical summer campaigned horse. We know that the Skeltons don't mind running their horses. They don't mind running a few of them through the summer, even like the better horses. But Boombawn up to now, they haven't done that with. So they've started the horse over fences, and just the 3 spins in chases so far. The first one was Warwick, wasn't it, when he beat Way Out? Way Out's going to be a horse I'm going to talk about a little bit later on, even though it's not on the ITV races, because I like to waffle. Then obviously gone to Cartmel after in a normal handicap chase. So he's a novice. If you run in a novice handicap chase and you get close to the winner, handicapper can't penalise you. That's the joy of a novice handicap chase. You run him in an open handicap chase, you run the risk that if you run really well, and even if you don't win, you can get your marked hike. So what a shock horror. Went off 7-4. Finished 6 1/4 lengths behind. Handicapper didn't touch him. Then goes to Worcester in a novice handicap chase behind Matterhorn. Now, Matterhorn is your typical Paul Nicholls type horse that's bought to be a chaser. Anything he does before then is going to be a bonus, and won nicely. But I feel like it was an easy opportunity for them to put a horse in a race, get beaten, and not saying people wouldn't ask questions, but he gets a little bit more experience, right? I think they've done that well. So he's off 135. He's got like decent hurdle form to suggest that the 135's well within his grasp. So he beat Hang In There at Aintree last season. That was of 127. And again, not to be disrespectful, but Bridget Andrews was on top. So it's not as if they were like fully plotting. There's been a big break before he came back from that season as well. So he ran at Aintree in May, didn't see him. And then, like I say, he's not the typical summer horse. But when he came back on his comeback run, that was over hurdles at Kempton, won first time up off a significant break. And that was of 135. I think he looks like he's going to be a better horse over fences. And just to really rub salt in the wounds, let's go back and look at the type of horses it was running against as he's like novice hurdler when they were trying to see what they could do with him before they started going handicapping. He was 9 lengths behind John Bond. John Bond's an absolute weapon, isn't he? He was second in that Sandown novices handicap hurdle season finale thing behind Napper's Hill as well. So you can see that they tried to handicap the horse to try and nick a race. They got very close in doing that over hurdles. They must have had a little bit of an issue with him, and then they've obviously decided to go, because he likes the good ground, let's have a crack at this. This is a big enough race, right? This is a big target. This is the feature race for Market Rasen on this card. They're not messing about with him. They've got plenty of experience in behind him. The ground's going to be perfect for him. He is definitely better than 135, and he's currently a 10-to-1 shot. I think it's madness. And we know what it's like with the Skelton horses as well. It doesn't take much to make a bit of a case or much to see the market get moved with these ones. So I expect him to significantly short, and I think he goes a favourite, and I think that Boombawn makes the rest of the field look silly.
Oh, makes them look silly and potentially makes the bookies look silly as well. Yeah, 10-to-1 shot in here. But of course, with the 5 places on offer, that price right now might look tempting before he shortens, as Dave is predicting them for the summer plate. So compelling, convincing case made there, Matty. So no pressure now, handing it over to you.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. I can't, as a national hunt enthusiast aficionado like Dave is, I cannot believe he's not mentioned Francky Berlais. I'm so disappointed and upset by that. I mean, I know he's an 11-year-old now, but he's won this race twice.
He loves this race.
Once off 139 in 2022, 132 in 2021, so he's a pound below that first effort. I mean, and I know he's gone off the boil, and there's kind of the suggestion that he was a bit gone at the game. But in cheap pieces, last twice now, he was third behind Paris Encore and God's Own Getaway. It was good form, kind of stuck on after rallying well. That was off 12 stone too. Then he goes to Cartmel in a good race behind Charlie Berlais, who's a very good animal on good ground. And so he's bouncing back to form at just the right time. And I just think an 11-year-old now, they might get a win out of him now and just retire. And kind of, when Ruby decides to retire on Ken Boy and just went, right, that's it, that's me done. And it might just be a case of that. So a very good each way price. You cannot go backing Francky Berlais.
Yeah, for all that, like I say, he was down the field last year in the race, but his previous record in this race, so winning it in 2022, 2021 as well. And he has looked as though he's been revitalised in those last couple of starts. So Matty's sporting his Peter and Mickey Bowen pyjamas this week. They're major fanboy over there for all of their horses throughout the summer and going to Market Rasen on Saturday in the summer plate. Right, so now we're on to our final scheduled race, actually. This is for 3:35 back at Newbury. Super sprint stakes for the 2-year-olds over the 5 furlongs. So speediness to the fore in this one. And it ain't two for Hugo Palmer, and Asheen Murphy has found herself at the head of the market. We have 4 places on offer, another each way plus race set with Bet MGM. But I mean, Matty, where do you even start to try and sift through these 2-year-olds?
Well, given it should be known as the Richard Hannon Senior and Junior.
Yeah.
You've got to start with Miss Clarna, don't you? Obviously, the pair of them won it 11 times. Hannon Junior's won it 5 of the last 10 renewals, 4 of them with fillies. So Miss Clarna's got to be of interest. She won her last 2 starts. The form's not particularly brilliant, but if you go back to her second start, she was only 3 lengths behind Melton Breeze on the Rolling Mile, who obviously showed up well on the Albany. But I'm not entirely sure if it's just far too obvious to kind of pick out. I did like Caburn, but then you kind of look at the draw and you think, well, it's no stall lower from draw 13. It's won in the last 10 renewals. So I'm not entirely sure stall 10 will be okay. But then you look at his debut win. He's just Twilight Sun's fifth first time out winner as a sire. 3 of them who won first time I went to be rated 107 and 2 went to be rated 103. So whenever one of his progeny does win first time, you kind of do have to take note of it. That was a very good race too. I mean, it was £15,000 for a Salisbury novice. Beating horse with experience, 3 lengths clear from the third, who was third in Woodcock prior. So I do think Cabin is of interest as well. But the one I'm more interested in is Jhingree, who just gets in stall 13. So that just kind of on the cusp of what you kind of would like to be drawn. 2 lengths behind Shareholder last Beverley, giving him £4. Shareholder won the Windsor Castle last time out, so that form is incredibly strong. You can kind of forgive that Carrick effort last time out. It wasn't suited by the sharp track whatsoever, and had a claimer on board. So I just think off off a weight of 8 stone, 813, with the form behind shareholder back on quick ground, I think Jhingree will go well from stall 13.
16 to 1 shot as well, but like I say, just on the cusp then, isn't he, in stall 13? And then if you look back through, I mean, the last horse I was, stall 10 won in 2013, but bar that, it has been 13, has been the lowest draw then in those subsequent years. But yeah, so high draws all seem to be to the 4 and Jhingree at 16 to 1 in stall 13. It's just on that cusp then. Dave, I mean, where do you even start with this one?
Well, I think I start where I stop, and that's it. Like, just stop with the race. It's like it's so difficult with these ones because because it's just like an auctions type race, in it. There's horses. There's only certain types of horses that are eligible for this. So you'd think a number of them would be, not saying necessarily like fully held back, but would be set to peak for this particular race. I just think it's an absolute minefield. You'd need to be on the inside of information, but I'd imagine even if you were told this has been plotted out for it, there's probably 6 or 7 that are the same. And as Matty's touched on with the draw, that could be enough to be a reason why the horse gets beat or doesn't. So yeah, I'm happy to sit this one out, but I'm going to make up for it because I'm going to give you a winner at Cartmel.
Wonderful. Well, that's teed it up beautifully then for anything from anywhere else. And of course, it's Cartmel.
I would imagine I said no, I haven't got anything from anywhere else after doing all that.
Yeah, I know. It's absolute tee up job.
Well, I've got a nice one, right? So we obviously had we've got the big race at Market Rasen where I really fancy Boombawn, and I'm kind of glad that this horse has decided to swerve the race. So it's way out for Sid Hosey, right? It's a horse that I wouldn't say he's turned into a cliff horse last year, but like, I like the horse. I think he achieved reasonable things last season, and I just think that I think he's a good horse. He's 125 rated. I think he's better than that. He's been as high as like 129s last season. And like I say, I don't think he's really been sort of like put out of place in some of those races. Now, he has run a bit this season, and I think probably the first intended plan would have been going for the summer plate, but he's unseated a couple of times. Last time out, Harry Cobden was still on board again. They went over fences and he jumped fine. Like, he was okay, but he bumped into Hometown Boy. Now, Hometown Boy was a horse I put in my ones to watch list last year. Ran at the start of the season, didn't he, in the race with Giovinco in there. There's a couple of other good ones. So he was in with like a reasonable class, and he was running really well. He was the eye catcher out the race, but then ran at Newbury, I think it was. I think he came down, and then we didn't see him after that. Like, he's a horse that they've always wanted to protect, and he does need some nicer ground. But basically, that handicap run, you see a horse get beaten 10 lengths in a handicap. Hometown Boy was an absolute blot in there. Like, it was an absolute given that he was going to win that day. So way out's gone and done what he's done. He's jumped nicely. And I'd have thought off the back of that, he's jumped nicely, they'd still go for the summer plate. They've obviously decided not to. They've gone back over hurdles. And I think they've done that because they know that he will win this race. He's only run a couple of times over hurdles in like recent times, but both of those have been like his comeback runs. He did win on a comeback run at Newton Abbot on his penultimate start over hurdles. But you go back to what he was doing before, he's got loads of wins in there. He's got loads of form on good ground. I just think the drop back to hurdles, they've done that because of the couple of unships, and they're a bit worried about him. I think in the top class race, they want to protect him. I think dropping back to hurdles is now by design, even though it wouldn't have been plan A, it's plan B. I think they've got a real good opportunity. I don't think there's much in this race that would give him any sort of race. And I'm hoping that he's going to be a bit of a price as well. So fully well waffled in there, but I really fancy way out in the Cumbria Crystal Cup handicap hurdle, the 4:35 at Cartmel.
It sounds a very fancy title, doesn't it? Yeah, Michael Nolan taking the ride. Interesting to say about Harry Cobden, though. He was actually sat on the This Morning sofa this morning on ITV there to promote the new ITV docu-series. But yeah, Michael Nolan, though, in the saddle this time around on way out at Cartmel. Matty, anything from anywhere else?
Yes, I'm going to be greedy and have 2, actually. Equiano Springs, the first one, won this race last season. Off the same mark. His record is a new market enthusiast. I mean, you don't see many horses taking to the track like he does. 6 wins from 11 course starts. Whittle that down to a class 4 over 6 furlongs. Then it's 6 wins from 8 starts. It's 2 from 3 on the July course, obviously including the winning this race last season. And it was back to the boil last time at 66 to 1 with rattling down the centre at Haydock, but it kind of appeared to be up the far side. Bumped into another well-handicapped rival, and that should put him spot on for this. My only concern is the top weight. I know he won off this weight in this race last season, but this time around he's carrying top weight, and so I just wonder whether this will be a prep for next time at Newmarket. But I am keen to take the chance that it will be today. It will be on Saturday. Then the other one is Zuki for Philip McBride. She just dropping back into handicap company. She's so well handicapped. last seen finishing a one-length fifth in listed company, good race at Kempton, and obviously dropping back for the first time in a handicap since when second to Pointmaster. It was now rated £13 higher. Dark 30 was in the third there. He's gone to improve his form, and she's a course winner of the 7 furlongs, and I think dropping back into a Class 3 company. I know she's got to give quite a bit of weight away to the 3-year-olds, but none of them none of them would have the form that she's got in the book whatsoever. So I think given the weight, she will hopefully go for a decent price too. And I do think at some point, I've long been of the opinion that she can pick up some black type at some point. So I think off this mark, 92, she'll go well.
Like it a lot, and I especially like the case made for Equiano Springs, the old boy then, and hopefully he's going to be able to do himself justice off of top weight as well. But a couple to go out there. Matty, I'll go back to you please for your nap of this weekend.
It was going to be Equiano Springs, but with my tinfoil hat on, I'm just thinking if it's not Saturday, it'll be next time out. You put me on the spot. I'll have to go with Flying Fortune, I think it'll be, for the Bowens.
Don't be saying I put you on the spot now. You sound like Andrew Mound to be crediting that. But yes, there you go. We got there then for Matty's nap. Dave, your own, please.
I mean, I don't know if I wanted. I was torn between the Boombawn for the Skeltons, but I think I wanted to put Pyffo up, and Matty's got in there. I'm going head to head with Matty. Pyffo absolutely bolts up in the 205. So good luck, Matty. I'm going to win.
Good luck, but totally not at all then from Dave Tomasi. Right, those two butting heads, I will let them get on with it up at Market Rasen. I'm going to go to Newbury, the 225, the 2 mile, or the extended 2 mile handicap there, which would not be my sort of bag, I don't think. But I don't think this is a vintage renewal, and hopefully Kyle of Lockholsh will be able to take full advantage of that for Hughie Morrison. And Holly Doyle will know how good Hughie is with a proper stayer on the flat as well. But that's everything from us on this week's show. So big thank you to Matty and to Dave for all of their hard work as per usual. Bigger thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM, with all those extra places on offer as well over the weekend. Make sure to head to the website to utilise that. Thank you to you at home for watching, and we'll be back at the same time next week to preview more weekend action.